Our design thinkers, today we're going to be getting into some tips and tricks inside of Figma, learning how to build some bars and charts. So if that interests you, then sit back, relax, and let's jump into the video. Alright, here we are inside of Figma. Let's create our loading bars. So I'm going to create my section first by grabbing a frame. We're just going to draw out our frame. I'll create a bar that's very similar to what these bars are at the top. I'm going to grab my text block, just actually pick, let's say, a nice medium. And let's just call this my loader. And what I will do, make sure that this is left aligned, and then what I'm going to have is on the other side I will actually have this one right aligned. This is going to be the number that happens at the end of the bar, and up to you really what you'd like in any of these spots, but this will be what I'm going with myself. I'm going to use a lighter one for this, and let's go and use ourselves a light gray. By selecting both the top two layers, I can put an auto layout at the top and just put this as my label section. And now that is my label section, it has this big gap spacing in there. I'm going to remove those gap spacing. I'm going to make both my text layers actually fill the container that they're in, so they'll continue to push against each other. And just for good measure, in addition, I'm also going to tell my container to auto space between. I can drag these out. Now they just anchor on either side, which is fantastic. And all I need to do from here is just create my actual loading bar. That's also another container, which I'll start, and I'll make that an auto layout. And inside of this container, no, I'm not putting a rectangle, I'm putting a frame. And I'm going to call this my bar, which is pretty cool. And I will also make this an auto layout. Everything is usually a lot better if everything is an auto layout. I'm going to remove off this additional padding outside. So that's the loader, and that's the bar. The bar will have a color inside, so I'll give that my color. I'm going to give it as well the rounding, as well as the bar itself will also have rounding. So both have rounding, maybe a little overkill, not anything to worry about. The loader itself will have a fill. I will actually chuck in some gray fill, and I'm going to make sure the bar fills the container from left and top to bottom. So basically the bar controls, or the loader controls everything inside it, which is the bar. I'm going to actually turn around and get that loader. I'm going to go to here, and now if I just chuck in a number, you'll notice that the padding just pushes the bar back. That means I could scale this bar and there we go. We basically just got a very easy loading bar put together in a matter of seconds. I can grab that, I can drag it out, and now I can just have it here and grab that top section. I can chuck those both into an auto layout. I can call this my loading content. Doesn't really matter, anything is fine. I can give it a in between. I can press enter and I can make sure they fill from left to right. I am happy with them both hugging the content from top to bottom beyond that point. And there you go. So now I can build out those sections. I could actually turn this into a component right now. Let's turn it into a component. There's my component, there's my loading bar. There's plenty of other things we can do with this. If you wanted to, we could also just make sure we chuck on a little background for it so it's inside a piece, and give it some padding. And let's tell the tire container to have everything inside the container center aligned. I'll give it a padding around, and just for fun, I will also give it some padding and maybe even a lining on it. That's kind of cool. And there we go. There's my loading bar piece. Let's create another one. Let's create the vertical like one. So how about we just duplicate the same piece? We know that this one already fills the container. So all I need to do is just remove that other padding and just change the orientation really. But instead of rotating it around, if we rotate it, it will affect this up the top there. It's not really what we want. And I just make sure that it is definitely filling. I'm going to pull it right in there. Let's set it to, I don't know, let's set it to 8. And I'm going to grab my text still. This one particularly, I will create these as a day piece. I'm going to just drag that in and kind of line it up and center align it. See, being now center aligned, it means that the text can center align to the actual block. And what I can do is just grab both of them, chuck them both into an order. This will be my the loader. And now I can create as a container around that as a component. And this actual bar itself, I'm going to make sure it fills that way. It can remain fixed here. I'm actually perfectly happy with that. This will always be a little larger. I'm at the moment, we have it at 12, which is fine, so it can be fixed. And just for good measure, I will fill that. So, actually no, we will have it hug. That's perfectly fine. And there we go. I select my container. I know that at the top, I can actually give it a pushback. There you go. Now it has that. And basically we just have this and it will respond the way that we like it. It's fantastic. And now all I need to do is I can just basically stick this into an auto layout, and I've created one for every day of the week. And what I can do, I can select this text here, and let's just set this to be capitalization, so I don't even need to worry about capsing any of the text. I can just add it in. So, and there you go. Now you just need to select the bar, and you can just simply go for your life. And there's our loading bars. So now we have our day, we have the vertical loading bar, we have the horizontal loading bar. They've also got those elements up the top there as well. I'm going to select that panel. And all I'm going to do is I will make sure it has a white as well. I can actually copy the properties from this top one, paste it in, and 16 around that. So there we go, got another actual loading panel. Now what I can do is also create some of those round ones. The round is actually one of the most easiest, I'd say, though there are some pretty cool tricks we can do with it. I'm going to create a frame. My frame is going to be my round loader. And this round loader will use actually a vector shape. We can use our circle, and I'm just going to pull my circle into the container it's in, like so. Now my circle's there, 200 by 200, which is great. I know that my circle starts there and I don't really want it to, so I'm going to actually rotate it. So now it will start from here if I was to slide it out, and I can just simply drag out the ratio. So there we go. Basically, that will be the actual piece. I can actually create another one. One of them is going to be the background, one is not. So let's call this one the background, and this one will be the bar. And I can change the bar, of course, to any particular color I want, and now it works perfectly fine. I can add the rounding, so now it will also have that rounding to it, and it just slides in and out, which is awesome. That is like the bar itself you can create. What I can do is I can just get those to be anchored through inside the container itself. So now we have a lot more control of this bar, like so. And I can also simply grab myself some text. I can center the text, chuck that text in here, and I will grab it, make sure it's on anchored to either side. Because I'm using just a not auto layout frame, you are using anchoring, so I'm anchoring mine from the top and from left to right, and I'm just going to use the percentile piece right here, but also just crank this number up a lot more. Use something like a semi-bold, and I can simply adjust that, drag this down here, and take that down to 420 again. Use a lighter font, and sure, we could use something like that. So there's my loader bar section 2, and that is fantastic. Beyond that, it's really up to you where you want to go and where you want to take these sorts of things. There's a couple of other additional interesting pieces where you can actually look at using masking. So if you were to mask out the actual bar itself, you can hide the other section. And that's the other way. So you can end up like editing the bar. You can mask out the purple. You can end up having the overlays on the purple. Anyway, this is the quick tips and tricks around loading bars. I hope it's been helpful. If you're enjoying this kind of content, please subscribe and leave some comments in the description box below. And until next time, design thinkers, keep thinking, keep designing cool things, and I'll see you all in the next video.